Like, I think one of the greatest casting talents, finding an evil-looking child. Like, this child knows your Aadhaar number, okay?
खाते हुए ही भूत आता है भाई, ये क्या तरीका?
Because you had not known the touch of another human being for 200 years. Would you not be just a little perverted?
I'm not even dead for 200 years.
For 20 seconds, the screen remains black. Suddenly there's just...
Family dynamics is a horror genre.
Yes! अगर तुम ग्रुप में बैठो हॉरर फिल्म देखने तो तुम्हारा एक दोस्त होता है बेसिकली भूत दादी was just the बिजली लेडी from स्वदेश.
बिजली दादी with
less बिजली. 14B, fear has a new address. Writer Abhinav Kashyap. क्या? Like the Kashyap brothers have contributed a lot to the horror scene,
including podcast.
4 फुट का बटला.
दोस्तों आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. शो का नाम देख भाईज है और इस शो के ओरिजिनल भाईज यहाँ पे आ चुके हैं. रोहन भाई हमारे साथ में. हम लोगों ने ये शो शुरू किया था ताकि हम लोग आपस में एक दूसरे के साथ और वक्त बिता पाएं. 2 जॉनर एक ऐसे हैं जिनके बारे में किसी भी पिक्चर के बारे में मुझे जरा सा भी नॉलेज नहीं है. एक पहला है भाई साहब हॉरर, दूसरा है भाई साहब साइंस फिक्शन. और आज हम लोग हॉरर पिक्चरों के बारे में बात करेंगे. मेरा ओपिनियन है जो मैं शुरू में रखने वाला हूँ कि मैं हॉरर पिक्चरें नहीं देखना पसंद करता हूँ क्योंकि मुझे डर भी नहीं लगता. ये लगता है तो मैं लगवाना नहीं चाहता.
मैं हॉरर पिक्चर देखता हूँ क्योंकि मुझे डर लगता है और मजा आता है. क्योंकि एक ये भी है कि एज अ चाइल्ड यू आर लाइक ओह माय गॉड घोस्ट्स एटसेट्रा आर सो स्कैरी. Then you grow up and you're like, oh my god, the real world is so scary. Because you think ghosts is right. Like horror का ये है कि पिक्चर बंद हो गई तो the horror stops.
But जिंदगी में जिंदगी में कभी पिक्चर बंद नहीं होती है.
Exactly, इसलिए.
मतलब देखो 2 तरीके मेरे हॉरर जितने भी लोग आसपास, कुछ लोगों को जैसे मेरी मम्मी, उनको हॉरर में मतलब डर भी लगता है लेकिन उनको बहुत मजा आता है कि भाई कुछ ऐसा डरा दो हमको.
I'm exactly like your mom in that case.
But मुझे बताओ कि हॉरर पिक्चर क्यों देखी जाती है?
Horror is actually the oldest film genre. And it's the first emotion experience by people while watching a movie. जब लोग लुमियर ब्रदर्स की भी बात करते हैं, सबसे पहला पिक्चर था वो ट्रेन जो स्टेशन में आ रही है, ठीक है? एंड द फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स ऑफ पीपल व्हेन दैट ट्रेन वाज कमिंग टुवर्ड्स द स्क्रीन, दे थॉट ट्रेन आ रही है और वो एकदम मतलब घबरा के भाग गए. सो हॉरर इज लिटरली वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट इमोशंस दैट हैज बीन फेल्ट ऑन अ स्क्रीन. टिल टुडे देयर इज नथिंग इन अ मूवी लाइक अ जंप स्केयर. देयर इज नो अदर इमोशन. एंड आल्सो अगेन I love any genre where the metaphor can be very strong. Like Night of Living Dead is racism metaphor. Dawn of the Dead is American consumerism metaphor. Stree dekho, right? So Stree is essentially, the metaphor is almost like essentially feminism, right? It's a feminist metaphor.
Patriarchy, yeah.
Right there, patriarchy is
the horror thing in that, yeah.
Exactly.
But what is the topmost आपको, जब मैं भी अपनी मेमोरी बताऊंगा कि आपको ये genuinely याद है कि आपकी फटी थी ये सीन में ये.
भाई मैं बताता हूँ, ठीक है? I have this one of life's most beautiful companions. It's just something called an older sister. Okay, I have an older sister, and my older sister, 7 years older than me.
That I also have an elder
yes,
sister.
Yes, so elder sister, 100% best companion, but did not want to watch horror movie alone. And when you can have someone sitting in the room with you, who better than your impressionable 9-year-old brother? To sit there in the room with you and hold your hand and he has no idea what is coming his way, okay? तो मैंने फर्स्ट हॉरर फिल्म एक्चुअली ऐसे देखी
भाई साहब,
ठीक है? तो ये हुआ तो एक बहुत क्रेजी फिल्म थी जिसका नाम था ओमेन.
ये 1976
ऑल टाइम, या 1976.
आप 1976 में 9 साल के थे?
मैं 1976 में 20 साल का था. प्लीज कुल्लू, राइट? तो देखो, एंड एक तो इविल चिल्ड्रन, ओके,
अमेरिकन एम्बेसडर टू ब्रिटेन एंड
maybe raising the antichrist, literally maybe raising the antichrist, okay? 7 and incredible cast. Like I still remember इसका first scene था कि बच्चों की पार्टी चल रही है, ठीक है, लॉन पे सब बच्चे खेल रहे हैं, ये बच्चे के साथ उसकी बेबी सिटर है, ठीक है, और फिर एक ऐसा कुत्ता आ जाता है और वो बेबी सिटर उस कुत्ते को देखती है एंड देन जस्ट कट्स टू नॉर्मल पार्टी एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. नेक्स्ट शॉट में बेबी सिटर्स ऑन द रूफ एंड शी जंप्स एंड शी हैंग्स हरसेल्फ एंड आई एम जस्ट लाइक, yeah, there we go. That's the first scene. That's the first scene of the movie, okay? And like I think one of the greatest casting talents in the world
is the baby.
Is finding an evil-looking child.
Oh bhai.
Okay, I think it's one of the greatest, most heroic jobs in casting.
अबे भाई ये क्या है भाई?
Look at that, dude. Look at that.
भाई, एक बच्चा मेरे
With the
घर में हो तो
greatest, yeah,
भाई
Harvey Stephens. I'm sure you have grown up to be a respectable young man, or now respectable old man, given this in 1976.
भाई
On-
उसने मेरे को लगता है उसके बाद काम ही नहीं किया भाई, क्योंकि उसकी वही फोटो आ रही है बचपन वाली। भाई ये क्या है भाई?
ये क्या है? Like, this child knows your Aadhaar number, okay? You never told it to him, but he knows it. This child knows where all your dirtiest WhatsApp chats are.
भाई मैं डर गया भाई इसको।
वही तो, वही।
ये बच्चा निकले सलाम साहब।
I think this movie is the reason I don't want to have children. I was like, what if I accidentally raise the Antichrist? I don't think I could deal with that responsibility. तो ये सबसे पहले देखा था मैंने
भाई साहब, सुन के
बचपन में
मजा आ गया।
And and the musical score is amazing.
मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ कि म्यूजिक जो हॉरर पिक्चर में
हाँ,
म्यूजिक लाइन, जैसे आई रिमेम्बर कॉन्जूरिंग। मैं बड़ा कॉन्जूरिंग, कॉन्जूरिंग में मेरा था कि हाँ मैं छुप छुप के देख रहा हूँ कि हाँ देखता हूँ, फिर एक सीन आता है कॉन्जूरिंग का।
Wanna play hide and clap?
इतनी ज्यादा हालत खराब, पता
वही
नहीं कब
तो।
हुई होगी मेरी, बाप रे बाप। मैं तो
वही
मैं
तो
कि ये
भाई।
क्या हुआ भाई, ये क्या, किसने सोचा, ये किसने बनाया ये? ओ भाई,
I mean, the most horrific part about this movie was the 15 terrible sequels that they made
हाँ मतलब
to
इसके
it,
बाद
not
रुक जाती
required
है।
at all. But this movie was great fun.
मेरे को हॉरर फिल्म का एक तो वो लगता है, एक तो बहुत ही बेसिक टेम्पलेट है। चलो आप फिर बोल सकते हो रोम कॉम का भी वही टेम्पलेट है, क्यों टेम्पलेट, एक घर में जा रहे हैं, उस घर की कोई कहानी है। और भाई मैं कह रहा हूँ वो घर में अगर तुम गए हो तो भाई बेसमेंट में मत जाओ ना। किसी ने बोल के
This is why flat is best.
अपार्टमेंट
This is why apartment is best in
There is a
Mumbai.
crazy apartment horror film जो आपको बताता हूँ मैं, जो मैं
Are you going to show me 13B?
Yeah!
Oh yeah!
I love
Let's
13B.
go 13B.
I love 13B
Let's
भाई।
go. What a
मुझे
great
लगता है
film, dude.
ये इतना
भाई ये मैंने
underrated-
थिएटर में देखी थी।
ओ भाई, और इसमें वही है,
Great
कोई
film.
भूत नहीं है, फील
It's
करना
that
चाहिए।
thing is the real monster is you.
Is you भाई, जो
ओ
उनके
भाई।
टीवी पे जो पुराना शो आता है, सब खैरियत है। ओ
वही
भाई
तो
साहब।
भाई।
और इसमें दीपक डोबरियाल का एक कैरेक्टर है, जो द गाय हु द ओल्ड ब्रदर हु इज अलाइव।
Yes, correct.
ओ भाई,
And also, look, a good horror movie has to have a good tagline, right?
Yeah, हाँ. Fear has a new
13B,
address.
Fear has a new address. Come on. Writer Abhinav Kashyap. Yeah. Hey. Wait, in honor of Abhinav Kashyap, I will sit like this now. I will sit like this for the rest of the episode in honor of Abhinav Kashyap.
ओ भाई।
I love.
क्या बात है साहब, बहुत बढ़िया यार, बहुत अच्छी फिल्म है। हालांकि वैसे
Oh,
original picture-
4 फुट का बटला।
अरे यार भाई,
That's crazy. I cannot believe. Okay, that's great. While we're on apartments,
Okay.
I have to shout out to one of my all-time favorite horror movies, Bhoot by Ram Gopal Verma. तो plot very simple है, ठीक है? Ajay Devgan and Urmila Matondkar move into this apartment. Ajay Devgan every day leaves for work, etc., whatever. Urmila is there, and she keeps seeing a ghost, and it's the ghost. I still remember name of the ghost is
Manjeet.
I know, not the most ghostly name.
Manjeet.
But just go with it, okay?
Yeah.
Ghost name is Manjeet. And again, one of those horror movies where the bhoot is not the scary thing.
Oh.
The bhoot wants Urmila's help in solving her murder.
ओए होए होए।
And again, the thing that breaks my brain when you watch this movie is, bro, what a cast.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's one scene where at the same time, you have Ajay Devgan, you have Urmila Matondkar, you have Victor Banerjee, you have Nana Patekar, Seema Biswas, and you have Rekha. All together in one scene. And dude, 2003 RGV is like peak RGV. He
एक और
had
पिक्चर है, कौन करके एक पिक्चर है जो
Right, कौन तो मतलब all
horror
time
ही है
great,
भाई,
written
वाह।
by Anurag Kashyap. Like the Kashyap brothers have contributed a lot to the
horror
horror scene in
including
general.
podcast
But
and box offices.
and box offices. Since we're talking about the Kashyap brothers,
Yeah.
if we talk about horror in India,
Okay.
you cannot do it without the OGs of the game, the Ramsey brothers.
Gordon
Kyunki- not Gordon Ramsay, Keshu Ramsay, bro. First, I'll give you a little context of Ramsay. Ramsay brothers used to make horror in India when horror was like one of those laughed at genres. So they have made those extreme low budget Bhoot Bangla movies. There was a movie called Band Darwaza, which was a vampire movie, okay, in India.
ये 1990 closed door. मैं कहा भाई
There we go. बंद दरवाजा. Look at the poster. Come on. Now that tell
I am
me
going
that
in.
isn't a classic horror poster. It has all the elements, all right? It's got this vampire looking guy on top. Got a couple making out at the bottom. Essential to a good horror film, all right? Integral.
भाई, ऐसा क्यों है ये
Integral. All
ये
right?
नहाते हुए ही भूत आता है भाई, ये क्या तरीका है?
Because ghosts are perverts, all right? If you had been dead for 200 years and you had not known the touch of another human being, would you not be just a little perverted?
I'm तो not even dead for 200 years. Still. Look at this photo. उसमें भूत बैठा हुआ बीच में.
Exactly, like there we go. Listen, Booth, here's what you got to the next scene. All right, this woman is in the shower, and what you got to do?
भाई shit यार. Crazy. वीराना, हाँ वीराना I've heard.
Virana was a very, but since we are here, we must go to the Z horror show. Z horror show, okay, was incredibly cheesy, incredibly made with the most basic effects, but it blew my mind. First of all, just click on the image. Now, if that is not a classic 90s graphic of red dripping blood, the Z horror show.
8.1 है review.
And 100% as it should be. And down there is another, put respect on his name, Ahat.
आहट तो मैं भी देखा.
Ahat, bro. Ahat is the Indian Twilight Zone. 1995 to 2015 is
ले भाई,
crazy. Ahat having a lower rating than Z horror show to me is controversial
फिर
and
I grew
unacceptable.
up with शूश कोई है.
शुश कोई है तो भाई मस्ती था.
This was my thing when I was growing up.
1 second.
क्या हुआ?
Shush koi hai also has a higher rating than Ahat. Is taste dead in this world? Is that what has happened?
कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं. Coming back to real horror films. ओमन के बाद दूसरी
तो
नाथ का
ये
revolution.
हुआ.
हाँ.
उसके बाद I discovered a writer called Stephen King. He has this horrible curse where he has had the most adaptations of his movies, but most of them are terrible. Some of them are bangers, okay?
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption, not a horror movie, but
Shawshank
Shawshank.
Redemption?
It's a Stephen King story, yeah. Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Shawshank Redemption is a Stephen King story. Then there's this amazing movie called The Shining.
क्या है Shining का premise क्या है?
It's about an alcoholic, abusive-ish father trying to stay sane and failing, essentially against the forces of evil. Go down to the trivia. I'm very curious to see if it's mentioned over here.
Stephen King's dissatisfaction with
There
the
we
movie
go.
adaptation of The Shining led him to readapt the novel into 1997 miniseries that remained closer to his original work. However, because Warner Brothers held the rights to the film, King had to sign a contract with the studio agreeing to refrain from making frequent public criticism
Yes.
of Kubrick's version. Stephen King's adaptation, The Shining 97, widely regarded as inferior to...
And they are absolutely right.
Have you read the book and watched the movie?
I've read the book and watched the movie.
What's the difference?
They are quite different in the sense that,
What's
like
the
the
ghost?
Jack Nicholson character is a little more sympathetic in the book.
Okay.
My favorite Shining, this thing is, again, you all can look it up. A great rabbit hole to go down in is there's a whole group of conspiracy theorists that believe that Stanley Kubrick in The Shining hid numerous Easter eggs and references to suggest that he was indeed the one who had faked the moon landing on the Apollo mission.
I don't think that's true.
There's a whole, this is an actual rabbit hole you can go down, okay? It's absolutely wild. It's a great rabbit hole. If anybody wants to go down, this is a very fun rabbit hole to go down if you are bored and if you want to see how bored other people can be when it comes to certain things.
Stephen King की any और
Stephen King की हाँ और एक है, एक director है Frank Darabont. He made an adaptation of one of Stephen King's short stories called The Mist. Yeah, Thomas Jane and Marcia Gay Harden. So Stephen King का पूरा ये है, again, why I love Stephen King. And again, why is horror a good genre? Because sometimes the best horror movies are just, what if a bunch of people got trapped in really horrible circumstances? How would they turn on each other? A lot of Stephen King's this thing is just, society is fragile. All it takes is people to be trapped in 4 bad circumstances and things start unraveling very, very quickly. And yes, see, there we go. Reviewers say The Mist stands as one of the strongest Stephen King adaptations.
Oye.
Yes.
But does Stephen King say that?
Yeah, Stephen King likes this movie.
उसको मेरे को लगता है पसंद करनी पड़ेगी क्योंकि अब नहीं बना पाऊंगा एक और
अब नहीं होगा मुझसे भाई.
वार्नर ब्रदर्स से और नहीं लड़
अब
पाऊंगा
तो नहीं होने वाला मुझसे और एक.
बट ये हॉरर फिल्म्स का एक वो भी ट्रूप होता है ना जिसमें 4-5 फ्रेंड्स हैं वो एक विला में गए हैं इसमें एक बंदा है जो भूत पे विश्वास नहीं करता
भाई.
सबसे पहले वो मरता है
और उसका सबसे टॉप एग्जाम्पल है द इविल डेड.
ओए इविल डेड तो मैंने भी देखी
Evil
है
Dead by a man called Sam Raimi, who would then go on to direct as a natural successor to Evil Dead, Spider-Man. as one does.
Evil Dead के ही टेम्पलेट से ये वाला आया होगा 5 फ्रेंड्स वाला कि 5 फ्रेंड्स जाते हैं.
It's one of the first. 5 लोग जाते हैं कैबिन में और ये कैबिन में ये होता है. एंड द क्रेजी थिंग इज, ठीक है, Evil Dead बनी, उसके बाद Evil Dead 2 बनी, which if you watch is literally just Evil Dead made again but with bigger budget. और इसमें stop motion effects use हुए थे पहली बार, lots of practical effects, lots of blood. Also, one of the Evil Dead is responsible for the origin of the horror comedy genre. Because aside from the fact that it was gross and genuinely scary, it was also hilarious.
Son of a.
And the main guy in it, Bruce Campbell, he plays this character called Ash. And Ash essentially became like this hero icon. क्योंकि इसका क्या होता है, उसके पिक्चर में he goes through many things, he ends up losing an arm. And then I think one of the greatest hero moves of all time, where he's lost the arm, straps a chainsaw to it. And then in the third movie, he goes back into like ancient Egypt or ancient Rome or something like that. और उसके बाद एक शो भी बना था called Ash versus the Evil Dead.
धुरंधर Revenge.
धुरंधर Revenge.
धुरंधर ईंधन.
Hamza versus
Alam versus
Hamza. The original script called for all characters to be smoking marijuana when they are first listening to the tape. The actors decided to try this for real, and the entire scene had to be reshot due to their. Stop eating the fake blood! Stop eating the fake blood, guys! Like, stop it. But there we go. There were the main ingredients of fake blood in case anybody's shooting their own horror movie at home. Caro syrup, non-dairy creamer, and lots of food coloring.
At one point, Bruce Campbell's shirt that he wears in the film was so saturated with the fake blood that after drying it by fire, the shirt becomes solidified and broke when he tried to put it on.
Damn! Like a 16-year-old's bedsheet.
Yeah.
Nice. Body horror mein, I just want to see what else is there in the IMDb body horror list. Ooh, that's an image from The Fly, by the way. David Cronenberg's The Fly.
कौन सी?
Outstanding movie. The top image, go all the way to the top. Crazy movie, bhai. Guy invents one of those, ultimate holy grail of science, transporter device. Except one day when he's testing it, fly goes into chamber with him. And the DNA gets mixed up. And he slowly starts transforming into a gigantic fly.
Oh, ye bhai
it's
saab.
essentially Kafka's Metamorphosis turned into like
crazy bhai.
Extra massive, terrible horror.
भाई ये आई है अभी बॉडी हॉरर का तो क्रेजी सब्सटेंस.
Oh भाई.
इसकी पूरी पिक्चर एक तरफ, आखिरी 15 मिनट एक तरफ.
हाँ, agreed. It's like, how much body horror do you want? Yes. Yes. That is the substance, 100%.
भाई जो भी मेकअप वाले थे.
Oh भाई.
मैं कह रहा हूँ अवार्ड उसमें मिल गया
I'm like, everything is okay until a creature gets more than 2 eyes. The second, the third or fourth eye comes into the picture, कुछ हो जाता है मुझे भाई, नहीं होता मुझसे.
मतलब आखिरी में आपने फिर कहा कि अब तो भर.
हाँ, भर दो भाई.
क्ले आगे क्ले लगा दे.
ओ भाई साहब.
जिसमें मेरे को देखिए तुम्बाड.
तुम्बाड is a very good
body
all-time film.
ये प्रॉपर फोकलोर और वो उस टाइप की हॉरर है. मतलब तुम्बाड is the horror film I like.
Tumbad is beautiful. It also looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
It looks stunning.
World setting बहुत अच्छी है.
Too good. And again, that story, right? The idea is the real horror is your greed.
Greed. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And how you live in that situation.
Oh, भाई.
Like Hastar is तो just.
हस्तर तो बेचारा साइड कैरेक्टर.
भाई हस्तर बहुत क्यूट था यार.
दादी जब भूत बनती तो वो क्यूट ही लगती.
हाँ रे, मतलब भूत दादी basically भूत दादी was just the बिजली lady from Swades, but with like extra 20 years added.
दादी सो जा, रास्ता आ जाएगा.
When I first saw her, I'm like, अरे इसको अभी तक बिजली नहीं मिली.
बिजली दादी with more dialogue.
With less बिजली. बिजली दादी with less बिजली.
कि बिजली आपका तो ऑक्सीजन भी दिया जाएगा.
Like
अब आपका ऑक्सीजन भी नहीं है और आपको श्राप भी दे दिया गया है.
Exactly. भाई तुम्बाड add to watch list.
हाँ, तुम्बाड तो add to watch list भैया. और अपन
So
चलो.
since you also said folk tale, right?
Okay.
And it's a folk horror is a great genre. Can you please look up subgenre of folk horror? The Witch. The full title is The Witch, a New England folk tale. And this is a great movie because it's Anya Taylor-Joy, who is an amazing actor. And the guy who plays her younger brother, I think gives one of the greatest performances I have ever seen from a child actor.
ये वाला
This
बच्चा
guy, यही बच्चा है, Lucas Dawson. He is so good, this kid, in the movie. उसका एक scene है.
Flora, Flora.
And I can't believe that a child actor
Can do this.
did this in one take. And the movie is just basically one of those, is the ghost a ghost? Or is it just the repressive
Mentality. Yeah.
mentality of the time? And the full movie is just great atmosphere, great vibes. This same director, Robert Eggers, made a film with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe called The Lighthouse. It's about two lighthouse keepers, Willem Dafoe or Robert Pattinson. Two lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity. Basically, there's an island where they get dropped off, and for 6 months, essentially, they have to take care of that lighthouse. और उस island पे सिर्फ वो दोनों हैं. Throughout the movie, are just like, is Robert Pattinson going crazy? Is Willem Dafoe manipulating him? Are they both just going crazy?
हाँ.
It's like, man, what a movie. और black and white है पूरी.
ओए ओए बहुत बढ़िया यार. ये वाली पिक्चर अच्छी लगती है जिसमें यू क्वेश्चन योर इंटीग्रिटी ऑल्सो कि आपको भूत लग रहा है बट वो भूत है नहीं.
And like you said, always at the crime scene. I think
A24.
it's an A24 film, if I'm not wrong. Everybody who works at A24, no, I'm convinced nothing good happened in their childhood. Like nothing good happened in their, like Disney पे लोग काम करते हैं, Warner Brothers पे जो काम करते हैं, उनके childhood में बहुत अच्छी चीजें हुई हैं.
A24 वालों के सबके सब
कुछ
साले
नहीं हुआ अच्छा.
सबके घर पे लड़ाइयाँ चल रही हैं.
Exactly this.
और भाई वो एक और आप ये बच्चे वाली पिक्चर बता रहे, एक पिक्चर आई थी रिसेंटली अभी जिसमें एक बच्चा है जो घर पे छूट गया है, अकेला है, एक बच्ची है अपने घर पे अकेली है, एंड यू जस्ट सी हर नेविगेटिंग थ्रू द हाउसहोल्ड.
There's a Japanese film like that. There's basically, it's based on a Japanese film. Since we're on the subject, Japanese people, Japanese horror, very big part of the 2000s. J-horror was a big thing. So there was lots of remakes of J-horror movies like The Ring, based on a Japanese film called Ringu. So this is the English version with Naomi Watts. Great film, great concept. And I want to tell a personal story over here.
Okay, Irshad.
In 2002, when this movie came out, my parents used to travel back and forth a lot between Mumbai and Pune. So I used to be home alone a lot. मेरी जिंदगी में उस वक्त मेरा लाइफ का पहला DVD प्लेयर आ चुका था. और तब DVDs का एक बहुत ब्यूटीफुल चीज था कि they used to have these extra special features. So you just go and there'd be behind the scenes and there'd be all of that. Ring का एक special feature था जिसका बस नाम था कुछ something like now see this without any details.
सुन के डर लग रहा है यार.
The second you click play, what the stupid ass DVD did was it disabled your remote and it would play the actual videotape. And now your remote's not working, you can't go back, you can't do anything, and the whole actual videotape. I know I should mention, I was decided for some reason to watch this movie like all good 17-year-olds at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay? तो अब ये पूरा tape बजता है, except that's not the terrifying part. If there's some small chance that one day the makers of this DVD watch this, I just want to say, what
Fuck
these
you.
assholes did is that whole video plays. And then for 20 seconds, the screen remains black. After which, they put this phone ringing sound effect. Okay? So you're trying to go back, and suddenly there's this. Bro, I still remember रात के 3 बजे मैंने मेरा रिमोट फेंका है. Like across the room, literally कि भाई नहीं होने वाला.
बंद हो जा.
I have put on every light in the room and gone and sat.
भाई और ये तो प्री फोन वाला टाइम है तो now you can't distract yourself also.
Exactly. There was nothing.
कितने हरामखोर होंगे भाई लोग जिनने ये प्लान किया होगा कि ये कर लेते हैं.
या कि भाई मजा आएगा भाई, लोग मर जाएंगे, क्या ही मजा आएगा. ओहो हो भाई. वैसे और एक डायरेक्टर है आरी एस्टर.
हाँ ये हेरिडिटरी का क्या है?
हेरिडिटरी बहुत ट्रॉमेटाइजिंग पिक्चर है. ठीक है. बेसिकली अगेन हियर द मेटाफर इज जस्ट essentially trauma and mental illness that gets passed down generation to generation.
Again, always at the crime scene.
Always at the crime scene.
A24.
Always. And this is the biggest crime scene of them all.
Family Dynamics is a horror genre.
Yes. Hey, of course Family Dynamics is a horror genre. Have you never been to a family wedding? Of course Family Dynamics is a horror genre.
Fuck.
100%.
Then coming back to the scene, yeah.
So coming back to the scene without giving any spoilers, like let me put it this way. Sometimes in a movie a thing happens where you have no choice but to just be amazed at the audacity. Like there are certain rules, right, that we have in movies. Like don't kill the dog, don't do this, don't do that. This film breaks one of those cardinal rules, and it breaks it hard. And it does it in a way that takes no prisoners. And from there on, the movie just gets more and more and more grim. और इसमें तो मतलब the cast is only something else. एक तो टोनी कोलेट है, who is I think one of the greatest actors of our generation. और उसका एक सीन है जहाँ वो भाई अपने बेटे पे टूट पड़ती है. And I think it's one of the greatest scenes, just even in family dramas, if you take if anything, I have not seen a scene that powerful in my life. Yeah, see there. I agree. Where is Toni Collette's Oscar? Because this is a thing that happens again, right? This year, finally Sinners won a bunch of awards. But before that, horror gets no respect. And Toni Collette's performance in this film is an all-time great performance. But see, again, a wonderful build with a disappointing climax.
Do you agree with this?
I liked it, but I can see why it would disappoint some people. Because the film also has this slightly frustrating thing that happens where it reaches a place where genuinely there's nowhere left to go in this story. And this is one of those films that they call, like, and I hate the term, elevated horror. Because some people have to tell themselves, you know, normal horror is low class. You know, this is artistic horror. Elevated horror. Where you have to say that, bhai, ye slasher film nahi hai, which I disagree with because I think slasher films are amazing. I want to see if slasher films is a subgenre. Slasher horror. And I'm so glad this is the image because that is the film I wanted to talk about. Scream. Forget as a horror this thing. I implore you to watch this movie just as somebody who loves movies. It is the most meta movie. It's a slasher film about slasher films.
Slasher में मेरे को उतनी दिक्कत नहीं है.
So Scream is a slasher film about slasher films. It begins with the person who you think is the heroine/hero of the movie. And 8 minutes later, she's dead. So ये था starting point. And again, one of the all-time great slasher and horror directors, guy called Wes Craven. और मैं और एक recommend करूँगा. इसी same meta genre में एक Japanese picture जिसका नाम है One Cut of the Dead. I will just say this. When you watch this movie, okay, for the first 30 minutes, you will abuse me. Abuse me for the first 45 minutes also. But भाई, जब वो picture का climax आता है ना, it's one of the all-time great movie climaxes of all time, in my humble opinion.
Do you think that watching horror films with somebody, like with friends or like with a partner, like a lot of couples like to watch horror films together?
I think it depends on who you're watching it with. क्योंकि ऐसे
But अकेले नहीं देख सकते ना horror films?
I think either पूरा घर पे एकदम अकेले देखो, so that you're fully terrified, or you watch in a theater where like 300 of you are terrified at once. My problem with watching horror films with friends is this. अगर तुम ग्रुप में बैठो हॉरर फिल्म देखने तो तुम्हारा एक दोस्त होता है जो एक्चुअली में दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा फट्टू है. तो एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट क्या होता है, वो पिक्चर के बीच में ना हर 5 मिनट जोक्स करते हैं जस्ट टू गेट इट ऑफ देयर ओन ब्लंटली डेडनेस. ओके, सो दे विल बी लाइक, ओ अबे भूत आने वाला है.
हां, नहीं बोलेगा.
और फिर जब एक्चुअल भूत आता है ना, उनका चेहरा देखो इतना छोटा हो जाता है. ठीक है, उनकी इतनी फटती है उनका चेहरा. So watching with those people sucks.
मुझे बुला नहीं रहे हॉरर पिक्चर देखने.
Or you go to the theater and you watch it. This is my logic with horror movies 100%. और एक genre जो हमने अभी तक डिस्कस नहीं किया है वो है found footage horror. Of course, correct you are. Found footage horror.
ये सारी पिक्चरें ये पैरानॉर्मल एक्टिविटीज जिसमें एक
करेक्ट. और उसका ओरिजिनल जो था Blair Witch Project. This was the first found footage horror film. If you go to trivia, I'm sure there are lots of details about it. Because in fact, when this was first released, they literally just released it as कि इनकी actually मिली है. Like that was their marketing also. कि बस हाँ. And yeah, it was their top budget to box office ratio because the film cost only $60,000 to make.
भाई और इसमें लिखा हुआ है कि उनको each of the 3 leads were required to sign a release granting the production permission to mess with your head.
You've got to be kidding me. You have got to fucking be kidding me.
Fucking get the fuck off me, man!
What the fuck are you out of your fucking mind?
So imagine that. You're just there, you've been sent, And now randomly someone just comes and goes, "Ugh," and screws you up.
Oh my God, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
To promote discord between the actors, the directors deliberately gave them less food.
This is called the Big Boss method.
बिग बॉस मेथड है भाई.
Yes, this is the Big Boss method of filming. 100%.
बीच में ये ब्लेयर विच प्रोजेक्ट में एक आदमी मैं ऑमलेट खाऊंगा.
Hey! बाप पे मत जा.
भाई लेकिन मुझे ये अच्छा लगता है, ये वाला जॉनर मुझे फिर भी अच्छा लगता है काफी.
तो मैं एक देता हूँ जो है क्लासिक. I'm gonna ask you to look for a film called 100 Days.
जैकी श्रॉफ, माधुरी दीक्षित, 100
Yes,
days.
sir. तो इस पिक्चर का प्रेमिस क्या क्रेजी पिक्चर है भाई. बेसिकली या लिटरली शी इज साइकिक एंड शी कीप्स गेटिंग विजन्स ऑफ अ मर्डर एंड बेसिकली उसके अपार्टमेंट या ऐसे कुछ में लिटरली देयर इज अ स्केलेटन इन द वॉल. आई रिमेंबर इट वाज अ माइंड मेसिंग साइकोलॉजिकल थ्रिलर.
Anything else you want to?
Yes, sir. While we
to
are sticking
traumatize
with
me,
Indian,
yeah.
yes, I would like to recommend a film called Brahma Yugam. Crazy story, ठीक है? Guy shows up at like this mansion and immediately discovers things are not as they should be. And that's all I'll say because it's again one of those films where the vibes should just be experienced by you. I don't even mind if this is one of the films that we watched it because it looks beautiful. The performances are great. Everything mentioned here is correct. Moody atmosphere, top. Musical score, top. Directorial vision, which I believe very important for good horror. I actually think horror has some of the greatest authors and visions of any genre in film. So this is genuinely a top film and I would highly recommend it to everyone.
भाई अब देखें, मेरे को रियलाइज हो गया इनसे बात करते हुए कि देयर इज अ रीज़न मुझे हॉरर फिल्म्स पसंद नहीं है और मैं देख नहीं पाता. आज मैंने जो इनसे कहानी सुनी है, मैं कहानियों से डर गया हूँ भाई. आप सोचे मेरे बिना म्यूजिक इफेक्ट्स, बिना कोई भूत के आए, बिना कोई चिल्ला चौंट के मैं यहाँ ट्रॉमेटाइज होकर बैठ चुका हूँ. तो मुझे धीरे धीरे इस जॉनर में आने लगा.
I'm sorry, I had to. All I've been thinking for the last 5 minutes. I'm so sorry.
Let's
I'm
go.
so
Let's
sorry.
let's watch.
Continue.
बट दिस इज देख भाई का न्यू एपिसोड, वेरी डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एपिसोड. आप लोग बताइए और कौन से जॉनर्स की डिस्कशंस आप हमसे देखना चाहते हैं और कौन सी पिक्चर्स आपकी फेवरेट हॉरर पिक्चर्स हैं, वो कमेंट में बताइए. और अपने दोस्तों के साथ डरते रहिए, डराते रहिए, मजे करते रहिए. IMDb के YouTube चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और लाइक कर दीजिए वीडियो. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर हैविंग अस. द फिल्म वी आर वॉचिंग टुडे इज ब्रह्म युगम, कॉज व्हाई नॉट.